Good morning, good afternoon to the freedom marchers, freedom lovers, freedom family, and freedom fighters on this beautiful Friday, August 22nd of 2025. We are going to be discussing the Jake Paul versus Tonka Truck Davis fight that will be happening on November 14th of this year. We're going to get into it. That is going to be a Friday. Queen Sister Shower, good morning to you. Good morning to the beautiful chocolate ting, Queen Sister Shower. How are you this morning? It's morning for another 10 minutes out here in South Carolina, but you know, we do it. Hey, morning is beautiful, right? I'm on my way to the gym. I'm working on legs this morning. I will be working on legs today, doing some squats, some leg extensions, all that good stuff. Maybe I'll do some explosive movements, some explosive exercise. Blessings to you as well, Queen Sister Shower. It's official, y'all. Regardless of how many people were in denial, particularly Tonka Truck Davis fans, 8 full days before the November 22nd card in Riyadh season that will showcase David Benavidez. It will showcase Yard, Devin Haney, Brian Norman, Abdul Mason, and Strip, Gervonta Tonka Truck Davis of his WB. That would be the best thing for boxing. Go ahead and listen. Why belabor it, right? Why belabor it? I know they're having a meeting to talk about stripping Gervonta Tonka Truck Davis. They're probably waiting on some official word from Tonka Truck Davis's camp on what they're trying to do, because the Tonka Truck camp never spoke about it, right? PBC didn't come out. Tonka Truck Davis himself did not make the announcement, but Netflix did. Jake Paul did, and so that is probably what they're trying to figure out, right? They're having this meeting. Listen, it's okay. I have no problem with Gervonta Tonka Truck Davis fighting Jake Paul. It is very befitting a fighter like Tonka Truck Davis. Very befitting of him, right? The only thing that I'm concerned about is what happens after this fight. If he tries to put himself back in professional boxing as a serious contender or as a serious champion, that is one thing I'm concerned about him trying to do, unless the right thing is done about it. Dead Mike, salute to you. And what do I mean by that? Well, if he decides to come back to 135, well, he should drop down in the rankings, as, you know, that would make the most sense, right? I don't even think this should qualify for champion of recess, because it's not like he's injured. There's no reason he shouldn't be able to defend his belt or unify, right, at 135. And so therefore, he should definitely drop down, okay? Once he takes the ring walk, once he makes that ring walk, he needs to be stripped. Why is that, Snapzilla Gorilla? What is it? What is all this hatred for Gervonta Tonka Truck Davis? Why all the hate? Because that's what we're being told, right? We're being told we're haters. But that's not really what it is. What it is I love boxing first. I love boxing first. And are the sanctioning bodies perfect? Are the commissions perfect? No, they're not. Is there corruption within the sport of boxing already? Sure. But there is some structure. There is some way to tell if a boxer is progressing, if he's trying to advance, if he's trying to behave as an elite fighter. Is he doing things that an elite fighter would do? You know, we can get into the weeds about judges and paid off judges and all the payola to the numerous boxing publications. We can get into payola to the sanctioning bodies so that a promoter could put their fighter in the right position. We could talk about that stuff. But at the end of the day, the rankings exist as they do right now. We don't have anything outside of professional boxing against which to gauge, right? To compare, other than the amateurs. That's a whole complete different structure, right? So when I hear that argument, it's the sunken cost fallacy, right? The sunken cost fallacy. When you try to call out this fight for what it is, which is a clown show, which is an exhibition, which is no good for the sport. This does not progress the sport forward. It doesn't move the sport forward in any manner whatsoever. This is an exhibition. This is a cash out and a cash grab that amounts to nothing other than the fighters themselves. No one has anything to gain from this fight other than the fighters and the teams and the trainers and the coaches and what they call them people, referees and the judges that are involved. Sure, it's good for them. It's good business. You know, I keep hearing this shit about, oh, it's big business. It's good business. Okay. Well, let me ask you guys a question. If I score a major book deal where I get a $1 million advance, which is, you know, writers don't get advances like that. Those are like music artists. But nonetheless, let's say I get a $1 million advance and I write a book that does not come from my heart, but I got $1 million advance. And then I went on a book tour and then I sold $20 or 30 million books, which is wild, right? I'm a #1 bestseller. I'm a #1 bestseller for 3 months, but I sold out. I did not stay true to the universe I built. I stepped outside of the universe I built. I sold the rights. I gave up creative control. And now I'm just writing for the publisher that wants me to write what they want me to write because they think I'm a talented writer. Well, if I'm writing these books that you guys fell in love with, you fell in love with my writing style, you fell in love with the story, you fell in love with the entire universe. And with each book, after you finish it, you're craving for more. But then all of a sudden I start writing a bunch of nonsense that, sure, it's poppy. Sure, it you know, will it sell to more people? Sure. But it doesn't have that original feel to it. It doesn't have the spirit and the soul that I started out writing with. It was good business for me. But is it good business to the diehard fans of the universe I created? All of a sudden, the universe is no more. I won't expand on it. Or I have perverted it to the point where it looks like every other universe that every other poppy writer has created. Yeah, it's good business for me, but what has that done for the universe that I created? Nothing at all whatsoever. This is exactly what this fight is like. It's good business for Gervonta Tonka Truck Davis. It's good business for Jake Paul, but it's not good business for the sport. Showers says the fighter on the undercard, they have nothing to gain, I suppose. Which fighter? He doesn't want the belt. If the WBA strips him, I'll be shocked and amazed. Then that's crazy. That's sad. Good Lord. I appreciate that, but yeah. That Mike. I don't hang on another man we're on the same path. Okay? Inshallah. Well, it's not hate. It's reality. Right? The fighters on undercard. Well, I don't know if you were talking to me. I didn't scroll up, but when I get to the gym parking lot, I'll be able to see more. Now, I won't say Jake Paul hasn't done good things for the sport in terms of women's boxing, right? He was able to showcase some great fights between women fighters, but then, sometimes the fights are ass. But if I'm talking about the fight itself, yes, there are other variables involved that you could say are beneficial in terms of who's fighting on the undercard, depending on what those fights are and what they do. Is it going to be Katie Taylor versus Serrano 4? Is it going to be is it going to be Alicia Baumgardner versus Katie Taylor or Serrano? What do we like? What's going on this undercard? Will Oshaki Foster be fighting? Yeah, it will be good for those fighters. The fight card itself, depending on how stacked it is and who's on the card, I mean, it could benefit the sport in that regard. But I'm talking about the fight between Gervonta, Tonka Truck Davis, and Jake Paul. How does that progress the sport? Because it's not going to be a sanctioned fight. It's going to be a exhibition, more than likely. It's going to be an exhibition, and it's not going to advance, Tonka Truck's career in the professional realm. Now, if he wants to retire from professional boxing and become an exhibition fighter and do all these different things and carry his fan base on along with him, yeah, that's going to be good for him. But I don't care about that. They have something to gain. Yes, they'll likely be viable matches that will progress the winner. We don't need Tank versus Jake for them to get money. No, we don't. I agree with that. I said as much yesterday. That's what I said yesterday, because I said Jake Paul is pretty damn good at promoting his female fighters and the fighters on his card. Mike Tyson, when he fought Mike Tyson, all those views, they did nothing for the sport. But they didn't pretend like it would, right? And the fans didn't pretend like it would. And even though it brought all those eyes to the sport, Jake Paul and Mike Tyson being on that card is the reason it got those views. Now, if Jake Paul is a pretty decent promoter, he could probably bring a lot of views to the fights without him fighting on the card or him fighting some big fighter on the card, but it won't be the same. You get what I'm saying? And if these fighters go on to fight in matches on cards that have nothing to do with these clown shows, will they get the same revenue? They won't. They won't get the same revenue. They'll get good revenue, but they won't get the same revenue. It won't carry on. It won't. You get what I'm saying? And okay, it is BS. Yes. Trey Styles says America and England has effed up boxing. You got nobody's fighting somebody. Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of variables involved in why the sport got screwed up. We got to take responsibility as fans as well. You got fucking Charleston versus Island Boys or Plumber. Yeah, it's crazy. Listen, there's nothing wrong with celebrity matches and YouTube matches. We just got to call it for what it is and not take it seriously, right? We can't try to equate it or compare it to real professional fighting. Now, there will be a part 2. And I was going to go in on knockoff Pity Pat in a separate live stream. But I'm going to combine some of the things that he talked about in part 2 and part 1, and just I'm not even going to. I'm gonna let that go. It is what it is. I was told they received 5 million extra views. That's it. 5 million extra. I mean, it's just, in reality, look, the people that watched that fight already had Netflix accounts. So how do you really quantify how much money they made? Yes, did it break Netflix? It was their first live. It was their first live showcasing. Stormy B, man, salute to you, brother. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad, just like Shower, man. Y'all, I appreciate you guys' work. And I watch your content as much as I can. And man, it's just, it's good to, it's refreshing to watch content like you guys, because man, it brings hope. That's why I said yesterday in when Stormy B, man, was in the chat, was in Drew Titan's chat, I said, don't go nowhere. I know it's frustrating, but don't go nowhere. Stick around, brother. That's the question. How do you quantify the dollar amount? You can't. But see, what Jake Paul is going to offer some type of guarantee, and Netflix is going to give just one huge bag to Jake Paul, right? Just kind of like they did with David Chappelle. When Dave Chappelle did his special, they just gave Dave Chappelle a big bag. You know what I'm saying? They probably have an agreement already. You know, we'll give you 200 million, right? Because the idea is, okay, if Netflix is getting in the sport of boxing, maybe we can, maybe we'll get more viewership. And if we're consistent with the boxing, and Jake Paul is helping bring more members to Netflix, you know what I'm saying? And we can drive up traffic on the platform, you know, we'll give him that so much based on that. Storm B Man says, yeah, Freedom March, I was on my early grind like you this morning. Had to express more on the foolishness. Yeah, I stopped by for a minute. I was still getting my workout on, and I was getting ready to go to my doctor's appointment when you were finishing up. Yes, I know, man. It's frustrating, and sometimes it helps to talk about it in the vehicle, man. Like, because it's kind of like a stream of consciousness thing when you do live streams from a vehicle and you don't have access to all these screens and all these notes and all these things that you can show. Oh yeah, for sure. My bad, y'all. My bad, bro. Hey, go get y'all Stormy B, man. You know what I'm saying? Hey, the bucket hat sewn in. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no bullshit. Hey, this ain't no patch, y'all. Salute. Yes, go cop y'all some quality headgear. You know, I stay with the headgear, y'all. You know what I mean? Y'all go ahead and cop that. You got the Sensei, bada boom, bada bing, with the size on there. Which I know about the size. Raphael was my favorite Ninja Turtle, by the way. Absolutely. I'm gonna cop some more. I think I'm gonna get another snapback from you. Anyway, yeah, man, y'all go check out Stormy B, man. Make sure y'all drop y'all links. Y'all probably not gonna do it, but make sure you drop the links. Shower, Stormy B, man. Sun Silent says, can you love the hood, blood splash jaws, and Ren? Okay, y'all be wilding up in here, man. Anyway, so this fight does nothing for the sport. For the sport of boxing, for professional boxing. And again, when we talk about corruption in the sport and this and that, what do we have it to compare to? Right? Is there another boxing league where it's so pure there's no corruption at all whatsoever? When you have so many institutions in the sport of boxing with their hands in it and they're trying to manipulate, you got so many people trying to manipulate what goes on in the sport. Yes, you're going to have some of that. You only watch hockey and UFC. I'm talking about professional boxing right now. You're not going to watch a Jake Paul fight? I heard that, Cleasy. Blood Rush Entertainment says, in the future, longer Netflix is boxing, they should do something like All Access, like Showtime had for years leading up to the big fight. Yeah, I mean, they should. Yeah, that I was speaking on that. What Jake Paul and Netflix is doing could be good for the sport, especially for the fighters. For the fighters. I'm not shitting on Jake Paul now. Jake Paul might have something going, and he might be able to take advantage of the situation that's going on right now with ESPN being out, Showtime being out, HBO being out. Let me explain why. Right now, Turkey Al-Sheikh has charged Dana White with creating this TKO boxing bullshit. And I think it's bullshit, y'all. I really do. Now, was this made possible because of the shenanigans going on in boxing? Yes. But it's still bullshit. And if Dana White gets his way and changes the Ali Act to make it to where he can structure the pay scale like he does for the UFC, it's going to be a problem if he's the only player in the sport. You get what I'm saying? If Dana, thank you for sharing that out, Stormy B, man. I appreciate you. If Dana White gets his way, he is going to turn boxing into like, it's bullshit. I don't like it, but I like what Turkey Al-Sheikh has done so far in the sport of boxing to help make these bigger fights happen, to create the challenging fights. And that's what Dana White does, right? Dana White don't play around. If you are in the rankings, he don't play around with the rankings, right? I have no problem with that. What I have a problem with is trying to create a pay scale that goes across the board for every fighter. No. Because he made exceptions for certain fighters. He made exceptions for Conor McGregor. He made exceptions for Khabib. He allowed them to, John Jones, all these fighters. But everybody else, well, they couldn't make the bread that they could possibly make, right? Sudden Silence says, what do you think of the head trauma in boxing and UFC? A lot of fighters. I will talk about that. You know what? I'll take a moment to talk about that. I already mentioned something like that before. They wrote out the pay scale. It is trash. It's stupid, right? And I can explain how to mitigate that and how Jake Paul can help mitigate that and make him more appealing to boxers. TKO series will just be a niche. It will never supersede boxing as we know it. It better not. The Queen Rachel Donaire is in the building. Salute to you, Queen. Make sure you drop your links in there as well. Make sure you get Nonito's channel. Make sure you drop whatever you need to drop in there, Rachel. Jonathan Simon's in the building. Salute to you, brother. Why ain't you got I thought I gave you a wrench, bro. You know what? It's probably you came by probably during a StreamYard where I couldn't do that. CT, I'll talk about that. Now, just real quick as a side note, and I'm not sure, maybe some of the practitioners of combat sports can attest to this, like Rachel and Stormy B Man and Shawa. Shawa, do you ever practice? You ever train? Anyway, it's all about defense, preventing brain damage and all that stuff in CTE, in combat sports. And it starts with how you train. Now, a lot of people, when they train, you're a dancer. Okay. I like dancers. I like dancers. Anyway, so it starts with how you train, right? Particularly sparring. I like the way Muay Thai fighters spar because they only do technical sparring, right? I'm talking about traditional Thai fighters. Thank you, Stormy B Man, for dropping your link in the chat. Y'all go check out Stormy B Man if y'all not familiar. Poop Poopadookie says boxing and wrestling is all a man needs. Well, if you want some good boxing content, check out Stormy B Man. Check out Shawa, who I'm sure hasn't dropped her link yet. Of course. Stop, Shawa. You be bugging. Yes, situational sparring. Yes. So what I mean by technical sparring is Muay Thai fighters. They don't ever traditional. They never do hard sparring, even if it's before a match. They do very light sparring, technical sparring to work on technique, right? They go light, and they know how to pull their kicks. Like Muay Thai fighters, like traditional Muay Thai fighters, they are so dope at pulling their kicks. Like they can kick you all up in the face. They can go through the full range of motion of the most wildest kick. But when they land it, they know how to pull it just right to work on technique, because what they want you to do is they want you to defend it. When you're sparring, even in boxing, it's better to do light technical sparring, 25 to 50% at the most. These guys, they get in there and they spar, they put the headgear on so they think they're protected. I don't like to spar with headgear. When I spar, I don't use headgear because I don't want to get a false sense of security from that headgear, because you're more susceptible to get hit. Number one, because it's a bigger target. And I already got a big ass head, y'all. I got this dome right here. My head already too big. All right. So if I put a big ass cushion on it that come out like this, man, you talking about a huge target? Hell no. I sparred in the first time I sparred in the Army. Before that, I was not used to sparring with headgear. They would not let me not wear the headgear. And a dude hit me with a hook, and the thing was like this, and I couldn't see. I was done. I was done after that. I was done. AJ TG, salute to you. So what I do, and I've been in, you go to different gyms, they spar how they want to spar, right? So you got to know that going to different gyms, that you got to have the conversation too. So you have the conversation with your sparring partner. I want to go 25, 50%. That's all I want to do. I'm not trying to, I'm not trying to go there. Rachel Donera says there are guys in Vegas that spar 4 times a week, full contact. Yeah, that's crazy. No, you should not use, in my opinion, you should not use sparring as to get in shape. Like sparring should be for technique. And if you're in there like sparring with guys that don't know how to ease up, and you feel like you got to turn up to meet their turn up, you're going to have problems. If you do that multiple times a week, CTE starts in the gym with sparring, especially with guys. Like I said, when the fights are coming up, I've helped guys in fight camps get ready when I was at the Muay Thai gym. And I was actually going to join the Masters to fight Muay Thai because I was 35 years old when I got into it. When I got into Muay Thai, I was 35 years old, and I was like, man, let me take my old ass and get into Masters. And that's when a lot of silly shit happened. But anyway, so I like to spar without headgear, and I like to do light technical sparring, so that, and it helps in fights, in my opinion, because in real fights, like sanctioned fights, because you're fresher, right? Your punch resistance is higher. Your brain is not trying to heal over all the getting hit in the head all the time. All that damage is cumulative, right? Storm B-Man says, Rachel Donaire says, yes, situational sparring and technical sparring, teaching for certain aspects for what could arise, not fighting being bad. Exactly. The brain says, I got hit with a jab on Wednesday and I have a mild concussion today. A jab should not feel like a right hand. He is 26. Man, don't spar that dude no more. Don't spar him no more. Like I said, you have to be clear about with your partner, because not your opponent. That's another thing they should tell you. Your opponent, your sparring partner, is not a sparring opponent. When he becomes your opponent, you're not sparring anymore. Yes, Storm Beerman, I agree. Salute to Stephen X in the building. Salute. Hey, Stephen X, drop your other channel where you do content, brother. Make sure people know about it. I'm enjoying that content. So that's another thing. So I don't like, this is me personally. Now I haven't sparred in a while. I'm trying to find a sparring partner. Matter of fact, I met this dude at the gym who was shadow boxing, and I was like, man, you do you spar? when I see people that are acting like they know how to they're trained to fight, I'll be asking them. But no, he's not. He still needs training. So we're going to be working together on the weekends. The guys we pay work with Nonito, not against them. Exactly. Yeah, you got to kick their ass out. Yeah, fuck all that. So and then this is me personally. For defense, I don't like to glue my gloves to my head when in boxing sport. Like, I don't like to do this, or I don't like to, you know how you do the high guard and you like this, right? And you're peeping through the little slit. You got gloves on, the gloves are thicker, but you're here and you can still see the shots coming. But I mean, you're still taking damage. If your gloves are glued and you're getting hit, you're still taking some damage. Motown 909 salute. Sudden size is that too. I've been in real fights. I like wrestling because you can go all out in a sense, and I like wrestling in high school. Man, I can't wrestle because I don't want my neck to get tore up. I'm worried about my neck getting wrenched. I'm cool on that. But I do work on takedown defense. I'm going to get knocked out, says Muffle Moose. Okay. Now, I'm not saying don't defend yourself with a high guard. I'm saying I don't like to have my gloves glued to my head because guess what? My gloves are glued to my head if somebody punches me. And guess what? The fighters, they know that, listen, the gloves are on your head now. They can still wail on you and you're still going to take damage. It's going to be cumulative and it's going to matter a little later down the road. And if you keep your hands up, they're going to drop to the point where now they can start hitting you in the temple because you're so used to having your hands this close to your face. Now, I prefer, when I defend, I prefer to have my hands out a little further, right? I prefer I prefer parrying and head movement to high guards and gloves glued to my head. Storm B Man said when Holyfield trained for Tyson first fight, for 2 weeks they worked on stopping Tyson's early onslaught within the first 30 seconds. Mike used to love to blitz opponents at the opening bell. Yes, he did. He damn sure did. And guess what? It worked out for him, didn't it? He knocked that man out. I've always thought about the high tight guard. Well, I mean, yeah, you're still getting hit, you know. Now sometimes you can't avoid it. Like if you're trapped in a corner or on the ropes or something like that or something, you might have to. But you still really don't. You can still have your hands out, right? Right? You can still have your hands out. You just got to be strong, you know. Your arms got to be strong because you're still gonna get pressure. But if you know how to build that up, right? If you parry this way, right? I'm parrying that way, right? And I'm here. Then I like that better because I still have an opportunity to protect my head, right? And not feel any damage to my head. The brain says my coach told me to move around as opposed to stand directly. Well, yeah. And then you keep your head off the center line, right? Your head stays moving. And if you're moving your feet and your head at the same time, it works better, right? Because you can get yourself back in position. If you always defend with my feet, meaning like even if I slip, I might step a little bit. I might step to the right. And when I slip as well, I'm not slipping all the way like that because I'm not in a great position to counter. So I like to slip just enough to get that glove right by my head, and then I'm bink, and then I'm here with it. You know, I'm countering however I want in boxing. But in Muay Thai, you're going to be more so here, right? So there's a difference between slipping and Muay Thai or when there's kick involved. And also, there's a difference between that and slipping and boxing. Yes, you get off the center line, even with your body. And so, well, what about the body? What if, if you're bringing your hands up here, how you gonna guard your body? Well, you just got to bring it down, right? Right. You're dipping. So generally, when you're guarding the body with your elbow, with your forearm, you're dipping. You're not necessarily doing this. You're dipping down so that, yes, if they're going for the body, they're going down here. But if you dip down, right, they're going to hit your glove. They're going to hit your arm, and then you can counter with an uppercut. So you just got to practice getting your hands in the right position, right? So I just don't like having my gloves glued to my head. Gloves give you a false sense of security as well, because in a street fight, you're not going to have gloves on. Blood Rush Entertainment says, what do you think is a reasonable price to pay for a boxing gym membership? I want to join a boxing gym. I just wanted to get my own equipment first to bring. Well, I wouldn't say nothing over like $125 a month if it's only boxing. And now if they have boxing, Muay Thai, kickboxing, I was paying for, okay, so the Muay Thai gym I was going to, which had, they had MMA, it was MMA, Muay Thai, and boxing. It was $135 a month, and you can participate in any class you wanted. Krav Maga is beneficial. Well, Krav Maga is it's a system where they use a lot of different disciplines. It's basically MMA without the wrestling and the jiu-jitsu, except they do a lot of hand slap. They do a lot of slap. I don't know. I joined the Krav Maga gym. I don't know. I don't want to say nothing about it. But anyway. Oh, you're 13-0. Salute to you, D. Harley. That's what's up in the DMV. Yes, elbow blocks work fine. So you talking about elbow, the head? Like bring your elbow up like that? You just got to keep in mind, if you're going to bring your elbow all the way up, all this is exposed, right? All that's exposed. So if an opponent sees that you're doing that, you bring your elbow all the way up, they're going to exploit that. I know, Shower. It's crazy, right? But listen, back to this Tank versus Jake Paul. Like I was saying, if Jake Paul, so that's one way for me that I feel to prevent brain damage and CTE is not to take shots on the head. Even when you have gloves and headgear on, don't get comfortable with the gloves and the headgear protecting you from shots simply because you're bringing your glove to your head like that. Story B-Man says, the brain, you may soon be called brain dead if you don't listen to the coach and get your conditioning up. Yeah, you got to get your conditioning up too. No, I know, Stephen X, you're right, because he's trying to make it a sanctioned fight. But they want him to come down to 175 from what I understand. Tank's going to crush him. Man. Yes, you got to work on conditioning. Conditioning is very important. Conditioning. Cardio. Endurance training. Very important. But, I mean, listen, like I was saying, so Jake Paul could be a good foil to TKO. Let's not talk about Turkey Al-Sheikh, because Turkey Al-Sheikh has a terminal illness, okay? And that's why he gave Dana White the TKO stuff to do, right? So Jake Paul could give fighters an opportunity to not have to deal with TKO and deal with him if he does better business with the fighters. Shawa says, I keep telling people Jake did a bait and switch on Mike Tyson and went from exhibition to a sanctioned fight. Yeah. I mean, people don't want to listen. He will try to do it. Jake Paul can get down to 175, I believe. Now, will Tank try to go to 175 just because Jake Paul wants it to be sanctioned? I have no idea I don't know about that. Jake Paul is like Logan Paul, determined, undervalued, but past defines him. So people, to me, in my opinion, Jake Paul is a better fighter than Logan Paul. A better fighter, better boxer. Storm Beeman says, after that ass whooping, I promised the coach that I will no longer do my thing and listen to him. Yeah, man, the brain, you gotta listen. Hey, you with the coach for a reason. So it could be a good thing. Just speaking about Jake Paul, I'm not talking about the fight, but Jake Paul versus Tonka Truck Davis is not good for boxing at all whatsoever. It's not bad either. It's just not. It doesn't do anything for boxing. Trill LDBC or nothing. Salute to you, brother. Make sure you drop your link too, man. Y'all go check out Trill Will if y'all want some real. I don't know why y'all don't be dropping links when I tell y'all to, man. Y'all be bugging. I told you yesterday too, man. Tank said his highest weight was 150. Crazy to think he tried to fight. Tank full of shit. Tank full of shit. And that's what I'm going to talk about in part 2. I'm going to get more into that aspect of it when I get out of this gym. You know, I got time today too, man, because I ain't got to work today. And, you know, I'll probably be doing some more work from the house. That's what's up, Trill Will. Salute to you. Trump will fix this. You can't sleep in your car. Y'all, man, y'all be wilding up in here. You'll watch the WWE Circus show. That's exactly what it is. But Jake Paul is trying to make it a real sanctioned fight. Make no mistake. Jake Paul is not trying to fight an exhibition with Tonka Truck Davis. Andy Herring from NYC. Salute to you. Peace from Brooklyn. Salute to you, man. So it's not great for boxing at all whatsoever. It's great for Tank's pockets and it's great for Jake Paul to build himself up as a real fighter. That's what Jake Paul's trying to do. Jake Paul's trying to build himself up as a real fighter. Tonka Truck Davis is trying to cash out. Jake Paul got bread already. Jake Paul don't need this fight for money. Jake Paul wants to be taken seriously as a fighter, but he's doing it the wrong way. Stormy B-Man says, Fridge Mark, did you hear that Tank told people to shut the fuck up? But Stormy, Tonka Truck Davis has been talking shit to his fans for years. That I am not surprised. I didn't hear that part, but I'm not surprised. That's crazy. Hannibal says Tank should just vacate the title. That's what I say. I'm not mad at Tonka Truck Davis. Now, if they do the right thing to strip him, or if he drops his belts and does this, hey, that's perfectly fine. And if he tries to get back at 135, if he tries to get back in 140, take your ass to the bottom of the line like everybody else would. Yeah, I mean, he ain't trying to hear it. So in part 2, when I get out of this gym, after I do my legs, after I work on legs and do my sprinting, I will be back here and we will talk about that aspect of it. I'm not mad at Jake Paul, though, because they are letting Jake Paul do this. We are letting Jake Paul do this as fans. The sport of boxing is letting Jake Paul do this, right? But it's not a problem if it's just an exhibition. Now, if they sanction it and both fighters meet the requirements, it is what it is. But even still, Jake Paul's not going to fight Tonka Truck Davis at 135 under any circumstance. So that means if Tonka Truck takes his ass up to fight Jake Paul, he needs to be stripped. Just like Lamont Roach needs to be stripped if he doesn't do something with that WBA belt at 135, which he did when he initially fought Tonka Truck. So that's fine, right? But if he's going to go ahead and try to do something else, like go to 140 or fight somebody else in a different sanctioning body, like the WBC or IBF, then he needs to be stripped as well at 135 or at 130. But yeah, so there's that. But if Netflix and Jake Paul are successful with boxing, right? If they're successful at showcasing boxing on Netflix, and Netflix works some type of extra pricing out for boxing, right? Maybe like another $5 a month. Man, they can clean up, and these fighters can have another way to showcase their talents. And of course, you got other networks that showcase fights. You know what I'm saying? You got what are some of those? Pro Box. You got Stormy B Man knows the other ones. Shawa knows some. Like, there's other ways to get at it. Yeah. No thing says yeah, but practically, how would you get critical mass of people to agree to that? Oh, you talking to Stormy B Man? Okay. Shawa says, BOXNG. Yeah, I mean, and what I want to do, because so many of these big name fighters are so disappointing. Yes, Triller's still doing the thing. See that? I don't even know that. I want to start covering lesser known fighters like Stormy B Man and Shaw. I want to get in on that with, along with them. You know what I mean? Because there are so many great fighters out there that no one knows about. You just gotta watch them and bring attention to them. NWO Thompson, I will talk about that in part 2. There's lots of boxing right here on YouTube throughout the week. For sure, Shawa. Yeah. I know. We need to just highlight them. That's just point blank period. It's just with my job right now, it's so like my day is so crazy. I gotta get up. I get up at 3 a.m. I work out until about 5:45, and then I wake my kids up. I take them to school. I got to come back. Then I got to drive an hour to work. I work till about 3 or 4. Drive my ass back an hour back home. I'm home by 5. You know what I'm saying? And by then I'm like, man, I'm taking a shower. I just got to make time for it. So anyway, thank you guys for coming through. And I am off on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. So I will dedicate one of those days, because I still want to get into Muay Thai. I want to start covering Muay Thai. It's just so hard because there's not really a structured Muay Thai league nationwide. You know what I'm saying? And also, Muay Thai in America does not get coverage like that. So it's hard to like find American Muay Thai fights where you're able to follow a progression. It's not like it's not like boxing, right? It's not like boxing. It's not like the UFC. You do have Muay Thai matches in one championship. You got K1, but K1 is just kickboxing. They don't do knees and elbows. So, it's really about a lot of local or state leagues for Muay Thai if they participate. So I really want to get into Muay Thai. And, there's always Muay Thai in Thailand to highlight as well. So, but I'm interested in trying to bring attention to American Muay Thai. Oh, yeah, I get enough sleep. Oh, yeah, I'm in bed by 7 o'clock. I'm in bed by 7. I'm falling asleep by 8 o'clock. So I get a good solid 7 hours of sleep. Trust me, I get my sleep in. Anyway, I'll be back in maybe 30, 45 minutes. And we'll get into part 2, where we get into how the Tonka truck fans are coping with this fight, and how some of them are acting like they're not down with the fight, but they're giving caveats and, oh, well, I ain't down with this right now, or, I get that is big business, but I don't care about that right now. Oh, if he does something next year, if he comes back and in 2026, he finally does what he's supposed to do, all that type of shit, all that cope, all the caveats, all the but if, no. It is what it is right now. Anyway, much love, like, share, subscribe, and we're going to keep marching forward toward freedom. I just saw a notification from YouTube where someone said that Tonka Truck Davis versus Jake Paul is a boss move. This is what we're dealing with, okay? This is what we're dealing with. Much love, like, share, subscribe. Stay tuned for part 2. Holla at y'all later. Keep marching forward toward freedom. Peace. Salute, Stephen X.